And Madagascar's President Andry Rajoelina has officially dissolved his government after days of violent protest over constant water and electricity shortages. At least 22 people have been killed and more than 100 injured, according to the United Nations, a toll that the government disputes. Well, the youth-led Gen Z movement mobilized thousands in the capital, demanding Rajoelina's resignation. Demonstrators held banners that said, "We want to leave, not survive," while police fired tear gas and rubber bullets to break up the crowds. In a televised address, the president announced the dismissal of Prime Minister Christian Nsay and promised to appoint a new cabinet within days in a move to address public grievances.
They say we are a TikTok generation, a generation of idiots. And when we rise up, they don't let us speak out about the country's problems. A message for you, Mr. Andry Rajoelina. When you led the protests, they let you do it. It was okay, but when we young people fight for the country, you stop us. 16 years in power. We've given him chance after chance. He makes us drunken promises. All he cares about is himself and his own family. Meanwhile, here we are dying of starvation.
As soon as we move, we are surrounded. As soon as we speak, we are silenced. What is this? Are we in kindergarten? Are we in kindergarten where when you are told to sit down, we sit down? That's what we're experiencing right now. How many more years are we going to accept this without anything changing? Stand up. We have to change things. If you want something better, you have to fight for it. We all have to stand up and fight.
Joining me now to offer a pan-African analysis of the upcoming elections and political developments across the continent of Africa is Professor Chris Kwaja. He's a professor of International Relations and Strategic Studies, Center for Peace and Strategic Studies, Modibo Adama University in Yola. Thank you so much, Professor Kwaja, for joining us on the news tonight.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Thank you. So, wherever you turn, be it Cameroon or Uganda, you have questions around the upcoming elections to do with legitimacy, generational change, and of course, constitutional maneuvering. How do these upcoming elections define the state of democracy on the continent in your view?
I think we need to appreciate the fact that electoral democracy is on trial in Africa, and it's manifesting in varied forms. The first is that we are confronted with this whole culture of sit-tight leaders in Cameroon and Uganda, as we see with Paul Biya and Yoweri Museveni, where they have constantly undermined the electoral process, weakened political party, crushed dissent, taken hold of the media in a way that pushes their own vested interest, and which is to continue being in office regardless of what the vast majority of their citizens want. The second is that political parties, as key vehicles for mobilization of citizens to ensure political power transfer, have failed the people. And young men and women across Africa or across the world are beginning to challenge the legitimacy and credibility of political parties. And what the Gen Z generation is doing is to take advantage of the social media to mobilize themselves across class, religion, ethnicity, and whatever division that is capable of keeping them apart, They have been able to come together. They understand what the issues are. They know that they've been shortchanged by the elites and that the only way to reclaim their future is to fight back. And the situation in Madagascar is a very important lesson for our leaders. I recall the statement that the current Vice President Shetima made some years ago. He said, if we don't take care of our youth today, they will take care of us tomorrow.
Yeah.
Today it's Madagascar, tomorrow it might be Nigeria. We don't know where the wave of the Gen Z consciousness and civic activism is taking Africa to. But one thing is sure,
Yeah.
that they are already telling the elites that we are coming for you. They are telling the elites that as long as you want to rule rather than govern,
Yeah.
we will resist any attempts by the political class to compromise our future.
Okay, all
to
right.
take advantage of the situation in advancing their vested interests.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Professor Kwaja, I mean, you've highlighted Madagascar. The president has dissolved his cabinet, promising to put a new one in place. But is that enough? And when you look at the situation in Madagascar, let's transfer that to the upcoming elections in places like Uganda and Cameroon. The population on the African continent is about the youngest and most vibrant. Yet the leadership is the opposite. I mean, generations in those countries have not known any other leaders but those two men in power. And they're again on the ballot. What does this really say? I know I asked you about the democracy of it, but is it that those leaders are popular or the systems are too weak to get them out of power despite the youthful population that we have on the continent?
The old elites understand the system. They know how to weaken or compromise the system. They know what it means to crush the media. They know what it means to deal with dissent. 10 years ago, there was no Bobby Wine. 10 years ago, the social media was not as active as we are witnessing in Uganda today. And what this tells us is that there is a limit to what dictatorship can do. There's a limit to how the elites can advance or push their vested interests in a world where the capacity to mobilize, to galvanize people is becoming easier by the day. Today, people understand what it means to be neglected. People understand what it means to be victims of injustice. People understand what it means to have better life. And that in the push to have better lives, they understand what it means to organize themselves, to challenge state power. And that the whole essence of democracy is that it should deliver on rights. It should deliver on development. It should deliver on popular participation. People should be given the opportunity to play critical role in decision making. The Gen Z generation is saying, you cannot shave our hairs in our absence. We should not be the menu, but we should sit on the table to look at the menu. And that menu is simply about governance. It's about the kind of education they need. It's about the kind of development they need. It's about how do we respond to the three critical questions that are confronting Africa: inequality, unemployment, and poverty. And these three questions are central to the challenges that we face today in Africa. Regardless of where you go today, you discover that the young men and women, the old themselves that are also victims of the manipulation of a few individuals, are all victims of these three issues we talked about. Now, with respect to Madagascar, I think my sense is that because of what has happened, the president himself recognizes the fact that the situation on ground now is not about reform. It's not about gradual decision making. It's about being proactive and swift. So, transformation is the focus. And that's why he has dissolved. The young men and women are still out there in the street waiting to see what he will do. They will come for him. And he knows that if he is not ready, if he's not fast in addressing these key issues that they're talking about, he will be the next victim. So before he gets dissolved himself by the Gen Z generation, he needs to dissolve the government and put in place a structure that will deliver on what the citizens want. Now, the big point is that Madagascar is just a test case for other countries across Africa. Nigeria not excluded.
A litmus test. We'll keep our eye. Unfortunately, 22 people have allegedly lost their lives to that struggle in Madagascar. One wonders what regional blocs such as African Union and ECOWAS are doing to improve the democratic process on the continent. But Professor Chris Kwaja, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us tonight on the news. A professor of International Relations and Strategic Studies, Center for Peace and Strategic Studies at the Modibo Adama University in Yola.